Hi folks, and welcome to today's video, herniated disc healing time. And of course, a happy new year to you, happy 2023. Now listen folks, if you do enjoy the content I bring to you on a weekly basis, hit that subscribe button. I do produce a lot of content for those folks out there suffering from herniated discs, bulging discs, sciatic nerve pain. So if that is you, hit that subscribe button and you'll be notified when I upload something new for you. But without further ado, let's get into today's video. So folks, today I want to talk about the healing times for typical disc herniations injuries. Now, when you are initially injured, with the body, you cut your arm, you graze your knee, you break a bone, there are certain responses that the body goes through typically to heal itself. We have an inflammation stage, then we have a relayering where the body starts to repair itself, then a kind of solidifying stage, and then you're back to full health. With disc injuries, it's a little bit different, just because the disc itself has a very, very poor blood supply, poor nerve supply as well. We tend to load that area quite a lot through the day, and it's one of those areas which does take a long time to heal. There's many different factors will come into play. So today I want to go through the different phases. I'll give you quite a wide range of time because it does depend on a lot of different factors, and I'll go over that as I talk. A couple of things you need to be aware of is, of course, the age the person is. Sad state of affairs, but of course when you're younger you tend to recover faster. It's just the nature of the game. The weight of the person, if the person is overweight, it can take a lot longer for a disc injury to heal because there's a lot more stress placed on the area during the healing process. If you're a smoker, smokers tend to have really bad blood supply, and they've discovered that they generally have potentially more disc issues, smokers. That's another factor goes into play. And of course, things like your diet, your nutrition, your lifestyle, your job, etc. If it's a manual job versus a desk job, all these things come into play. Okay, but I'm going to go through sort of 4 stages that I like to talk about when somebody does come to me with, initial issues with herniated disc, bulging disc. So initially you have what's called, I call it the kind of acute inflammation stage. Lasts typically kind of 2 days to maybe up to 7 days. The person's in a lot of extreme pain. The disc has been herniated, it's bulging, there's inflammatory material in that region, there might be some redness, maybe swelling. And that's when you want to be using, ice, of course, to sort of help bring down swelling inflammation, give you a reduction in pain. You want to maybe be taking some bed rest. Typically, though, they say maximum 2 days bed rest is all you really need at that stage. Then you want to get moving as fast as possible. Not moving as fast as possible, but you want to start moving again, as quickly as you can. You want to be avoiding flexion before noon, which is I talk about a lot in my videos. If you've not if you've not looked at that area, there's a video that's going to pop at the end of this one today. It's going to be focused purely on avoiding flexion before noon and why it is an amazing, great source of relief for many people suffering from lower back issues. Check it out at the end of this one, okay? So during this acute phase, you want to be avoiding flexion before noon, spinal flexion, icing, taking it easy, okay, cease your kind of heavy activities, going to the gym, etc. And that normally lasts for most people kind of 2 to 7 days, yeah? Then you want to get into what's called the movement phase. Now, again, if your injury is not that severe, you might be moving just after 2 days. And when I say movement, it's basically getting up and moving. So you're maybe walking again, you've got out of bed, okay, you're not going to the gym yet, you're not playing your sport again, you're not running with the dog, playing with the kids. It's just about actually physically moving. You get the blood pumping. It's going to help bring nutrients to the disc, region that's injured. It's going to help take inflammatory materials away from that region as well. So that's what we call the movement phase. And you also when you probably start, or you should start if you got a good rehabilitation program, of course, doing sort of core stability work, making your core stronger. It takes some of the load away from the spine, okay? That will allow the disc to give it a chance to heal properly. And this initial phase, this sort of secondary initial phase, this movement phase, you probably start around about 2 days. It's going to last up until about sort of 4 weeks, approximately, yeah? Then I move on to what I call my starter strength phase. Now this could start as early as 2 weeks, depending on the nature of the injury, and it's probably going to last up to 3 months. Sometimes maybe 2 months, but probably up to 3 months is more normal. And this is where you're actively doing your rehabilitation work, your core strengthening work, maybe some stretching if you've got, you know, mobility issues, and you're trying to restore kind of healthy movement. Now, you're not there yet, okay? What you tend to find is if they do that kind of initial movement phase, this happens all the time, they do a little bit of maybe physiotherapy for a couple of weeks, and then it finishes. And then they go straight back to their active lifestyle, you know, playing sport, whatever, and they re-injure themselves again. This is very, very, very common. And if you just stop at the end of that movement phase, or you do your starter strength and you stop very quickly, you don't follow through, then you're a much higher chance of injury. You've got to maintain the strength. You've got to learn how to move properly with, you know, an injured disc, because in my previous video, and if you've not checked it out, I want you to look at that one as well. It actually goes over the types of disc injuries. It's also going to pop up at the end of this one. Okay, so watch the disc injuries one, and avoiding flexion before noon. There's one particular disc injury, which is a full herniation, where you tear what's called the annulus fibers. And quite often, after you've done maybe the movement phase, maybe part of the starting strength phase, you have no pain, right? And you feel great. I'm like, yeah, pain-free. I'm going to go back to, you know, squatting 200 kilos. I'm going to go back to, you know, 3 rounds of golf a week, whatever it could be, and you re-injure yourself. This happens a lot in those that get surgery, and it's because what is called the annulus fibers, which is a picture going to flash up on the screen there. You can see a disc, and you'll see the annulus fibers are this kind of layering which surrounds what's called the nucleus pulposus in the center. That area takes a long time to heal, and even though you can be pain-free, it's going to flash away again. Okay, you'd be pain-free. That area takes up to 18 months, a year minimum, I would say, 18 months, sometimes 2 years for that to scar over somewhat. So yeah, you can go back to various activities and sports, but if you're not practicing good spine hygiene and getting yourself as strong as possible, you can re-herniate, because that annulus is not, it doesn't heal very well. It's a different type of cartilaginous surface that's put down there to heal that break if you've had the full herniation. So the chance of injury is quite high, because the herniation, the nucleus pulposus disc material, can burst back through that area and again touch on the nerve. So even though you're pain-free and you can do all your movements, etc., if you're still not practicing good spine hygiene, you can incur a further injury. So that's why it's really important that you continue through the different phases of activity. So we have the acute inflammation phase. Then we got what I call the movement phase, which up to your 4 weeks, where you're starting to you know, walk, do general movements again, protect your spine, of course, as well, though. Still avoid flexion before noon. If you finish at that phase, high chance of re-injury. My next phase, which I call my starter strength phase, which is just building upon the strength that you're building, your core work, mobility, etc. If you stop after that, you could also increase the chance of injury. Now, the starter strength phase, probably, you know, you can start it, depending on injury, 2 weeks. That's going to last up to 3 months, 12 weeks approximately. But even after that, I get people typically, and I call it my back to living phase. That can start anywhere to sort of 8 weeks, 7-8 week point, depending on the injury again, lasting up to 6 months, 24 weeks, and beyond in some cases, okay? This is like a best case scenario. And that is much more about how you move, how you load the spine correctly, how you can deadlift correctly if if you go to the gym, how you practice your sports correctly. Because to be fully sport fit, coming back from a disc injury, it can take up to a year very easily, because you want the annulus to scar over properly, and you don't want to return too soon. That was my mistake myself. I had a initial disc injury. That was back in 2005. After it was about 4 or 5 months, I had no pain. I felt great. I went back to squatting, and I re-injured. I injured it much, much greater this time, the second time, before I took things really seriously and really got into the rehabilitation of the spine. So I learned the hard way, so to speak, yeah, and that's why I want you guys to sort of learn from my mistakes, if you will. And so you must understand you should go through different phases, building upon strength, and that's one of the things I push a lot in my course. I have a course that I run. It's a 21-day lower back recovery challenge, I call it. It's going to flash up on the screen there. You can go and check it out. It's www.bashbackpain.com/course, and it's designed to bring you guys, from a significant, stage of pain to a much more decreased level of pain, get you stronger, increase your mobility, create some decompression, get that disc to reabsorb. So if you're suffering out there with a lot of pain, go and check out that course. It might be just what you need. Now, the other issue, to get back onto this video, if you don't follow through with these phases, so I'd call it, bad physiotherapy, bad rehab, for example, you can set yourself up for a much longer recovery. So if you're not getting rehabilitation for long enough, if you're not following through and practicing good spine hygiene for long enough, if you're not building up that core strength for long enough, you can actually set yourself up for a longer case of recovery, just due to things like, another herniation of the disc, decreased muscle tone. You can actually lose muscle tissue, atrophy. So you're coming back from a much harder place. And I've seen it happen, many, many times. And it's one thing I push very heavily, is trying to go through each different stage, make sure the stage builds upon the last one. Talk to your physiotherapists. If something's too easy, say, look, what's the next stage? What can I do at home? I've got a lot of good videos on, upper body strengthening, lower body strengthening. Go and check out some of my other videos on that for advanced exercises, beginner exercises as well. So guys, listen, I hope that was useful. It was just a brief rundown of the different phases you will go through, or you should go through, on your road to recovery, all right? Listen, folks, if you're out there struggling with, lower back pain issues, sciatica nerve pain issues, hit me up in the comment section down below, ask me a question. You can drop me an email if you wish. That's also in the description down below. You can check out my email. Don't forget to go and check out those two videos. They're going to flash on the screen in just a second. Also, don't forget, of course, to like and share this video. And I'll see you all next time. Have a great day.